this yours?
Impeccable time. No, impeccable time.
Oh, this is yours, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's my
Yeah,
one.
I'm gonna pull up my calendar because I had some changes at work.
I didn't print a new page, so this is, today is 1/8. 1/8. Okay, so meeting-wise, so we have today is the 8th. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 17th. Since we won't have a quorum then for the 22nd, we won't have a quorum for the 22nd. There's no need to have a meeting that night. But the chances of us being able to approve our recommendations by the 17th is probably not real likely either.
You want to add one the 15th?
So we could add one the 15th. 'Cause then that would give me a week to at least start putting something, unless somebody else wants to volunteer to start writing the recommendations.
I can help with that. I just won't be here on the 15th though.
Oh, you would not be here the 15th?
No, I come back, I'm in Maryland, and I don't get back until like 8 o'clock. Actually, my flight doesn't even get back until 8, so I probably wouldn't even be here until 10.
Yeah. Okay, so,
But I can, format and otherwise, I can help write it,
Okay.
no problems.
all right.
17, I'm good for 17, and then 22, you said it's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, because I'm not here, Adam won't be here, so it
17,
would just be the two of you, and that's not a
If you can't-
quorum.
If you can't come,
Right, so you wouldn't be able to vote to approve the recommendations that night,
Hmm.
and then we're presenting on the 23rd. So we could do, so 15th doesn't work.
Well, could you make the 15th?
I could make the 15th,
Could you?
but, yeah, but
Maybe
if,
you can't.
I can't, but
yeah.
you just need 3 for the quorum, right?
right, but I think for, we could work on
Because the recommendation would be.
defining the recommendations then, but I think we all,
Couldn't even dial in, so I was thinking I could dial in, but I'm in the air.
because I want us to all be here when we approve the final draft,
How can I do
or the final version of the, recommendations. So,
Let me just look up, let me look up what the,
so I mean, we could
The
do, if, you
'cause
know.
if I have access to internet, cause it's JetBlue's got
Yeah, Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yep. free, I think. If I can do that, I can actually, call in. And that would work.
Okay.
'Cause I can use Skype to call in to what do we have, a Starfish or something like that?
Yeah, we've got a real
I
phone.
just have to see
that I
when
could
I'm in
do.
the air, cause you'll be meeting at, normal time, right?
Mhm.
Blue BWI2BOS schedule.
Yeah. Do we have a workshop on the 16th, Adam?
We do.
We do, okay.
what time is that?
It'd be
6:30.
6:30.
And before that, I have a finance meeting I have to attend.
And you guys aren't here on Friday, so that doesn't work well.
You wanna do a Friday? I'm okay with a Friday if you wanna.
I'm okay
So
with
it's
the
at-
Friday, but,
So here's actually a good thing. Just speaking about the 15th,
I'll be at the conference, MMA,
on the 15th,
on the Friday, the 18th.
my flight's 8:11 to 9:30, so I'll be able to, at the terminal, just call in.
mhm.
Because I'd be there before the hand anyway.
Can we do the 10th?
We could do the 10th. I won't have any time, though, to get anything
Oh,
written
yeah.
between now and the 10th. So if somebody else wants to start doing the narrative, we could certainly meet the 10th and work on it
I mean, the 10th works for me. I just have a reuse committee meeting, and then I could just go right from there to.
Yeah, because let me show you, what we've done, what our recommendations have looked like in the past.
Sonar Contact. Any submarine movie buffs? That's what it sounded like to me. Sonar Contact.
Yeah,
Let's see, month.
so basically we just do, or what we have been doing, and again, we're open to suggestions if you guys want to do something different. We basically just write it's in memo form. We kind of do a summary of, what we did, our thought process behind what we're recommending. Then we go into, each department, that was.
Right, and I have a lot of this text, like when, the last time we met, I wrote it as a note, like this person didn't come because the attic can't be used, that kind of thing, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of those notes, or I at least have them.
So that's kind of the narrative part of it. So then, we break it down into those requests that are non-tax impacting. So they're either paying for it out of,
Prize.
grants or whatever. So those don't really, have any effect. So we didn't make any recommendations on those. And then we broke out the things that we were going to do as a debt exclusion, because again, they don't really impact they do impact the tax rate, but they take town meeting a vote, not the selectmen's vote. Then we got into the tax impacting requests and, came up with what our, 8 recommendations were. And then we pulled out of the capital plan, that little 5-year average of the average to come up with that we, should be, this is what we should be investing in the capital. Oh no, here's the average part. So this is just the totals up here of each year. And then here's our average. So we should be, last year, we should be putting in 498. And then we include also the, the final plan.
The spreadsheet.
Yeah, the final spreadsheet. So that the selectmen can get an idea for what's the entire plan. With the department priorities. See, once we get down here into the ones that affect the tax rate, we come up with the department's priority and our committee's priority. So that's basically what the recommendations are.
I absolutely can help with that.
So,
I can start putting it together. I mean, that's, can I pull that off the website, or is that a PDF?
I can email it to you.
Yeah.
I've got the Word documents even,
Sure.
and I'll just email them to
Even
you.
better.
So if you would be willing to work on text, that would be great.
Absolutely. That's too easy.
So we could actually just kind of start talking about the various recommendations, or we can look at what, I truly have to apologize. We asked the fire department, the police department, and the DPW to give us, new updates, which I had fully intended to get updated into the spreadsheet before tonight, but did not. So, we can pop those in, or I can, you got
Do we have the
selectmen's meeting.
answers? It's just not in there yet?
Yes, correct. So,
All right. Well, I mean, that's good.
so this one is just DPW's.
I'm building a grounds.
Yeah, DPW, buildings and grounds.
Um,
So you don't have the fire department one or the police one?
I believe that you emailed it to the department head, right?
I did, yes.
So they didn't respond?
I believe they
They
received.
did,
Oh,
they
oh.
did.
I believe that's,
I have a very quick question about the,
Yep.
the format. Does the beginning part, like if we develop a rubric, a way, you know, like what our evaluation criteria is that spoken to as well? Like, this is how we came up with it? Or do we owe that to them, or is that just in discussion on public record when we have our meetings?
Right, so we've,
Rationale, evaluation criteria.
yeah, that's kind of what that first,
Okay, I missed it.
did I open the right thing? Yeah, let me, it's kind of what we attempted to do up here on the first page.
Yep.
You know, as the capital planning committee kicked it off after 2 years. When determining our recommendations, the committee is slightly disadvantaged by not knowing the available funds. Oh, we do know that this year, though.
Right.
Yep, so I've got that. I'm getting ready to pull that up. So I guess, no, we didn't really talk about, the thought
that's a
process
suggestion, though.
behind.
Absolutely, I think that's
Yeah.
a big thing that, you know, people, if you explain to the community, hey, capital planning, this is what our evaluation criteria, this was our rationale was for, whether we agreed with or disagreed with, department heads, or even just, you know, like we said, we put life, health, and safety up first, and then we thought infrastructure or other things, or we wanted to align with the Board of Selectmen's vision, that, you know, that kind of thing to mention in there, I think would be helpful.
Right, so here is what we said last year, that the department submitted 24 requests. The committee reviewed these, set our recommendations based on merit, perceived need, and benefit to the community.
Okay.
We were able to rank 8 of the 24 projects before exceeding the assumed $100,000 budget limit.
Got it. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
And then we go on to say that,
I
you
may
know,
play with that a little bit, like to expand it or
Yeah,
something, because
that's-
we've had really good discussion.
So then the few remaining requests were not considered because they were not prioritized by the department or that did not provide cost estimates. So we had a number of things last year that the departments had in there, but they didn't provide us any cost estimates or a priority. They said, yep, this is something we want, but they didn't give us any follow-up information behind it. So we said, well, we're not gonna consider that. And then we were surprised that we found 7 of the capital projects approved by town meeting for FY18
I
that had
saw
not
that.
yet been completed.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
Have they been now, do you know? At this point? Do you remember which ones they were?
right, so we have to go back and look
Um,
and see.
Council on Aging building, maybe? It seems like that would
Right,
be
so
one
it's
of the.
not been completed yet, but
Right.
will be by the end of
Right.
the
That's been
fiscal
on the
year,
docket
probably.
for quite a
yeah.
while.
So, let's see, Templeton 1, there we go. Carter.
We brief on the 23rd to Board of Selectmen, okay.
Dollars for capital. I currently estimate that we will be able to support a capital budget expenditures out of pocket of $450,000 for FY '20. Because that's the year we're working on, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because we're in 19 now.
Yep.
Right, so we're working on the FY '20. So, that's pretty good. So, see attached tab 2, if you are financing something like an ambulance, the max lease payment we can handle out of the operating budget will be will be the FY $19 of 56K. I suggest you use 5.5 for the finance rate over the 5 years. And remember, Templeton Light will not just give us the dollars, but always has the sign off on each item. So I'm always looking for ways. Just over. We may have some more dollars available out of the depends upon okay. So 450 is what we will use this year. And if we recommend something like the ambulance, the payment can't be more than 56K a year. Okay. So, I'm gonna try to see if I could find the
You
police
said
and
no to
fire.
10 January, or is that still?
He said he wouldn't have anything done by then, but if,
Oh, if I'm starting to write.
I mean, that's
That's how I,
Thursday,
that's how
right?
I interpreted that.
So,
So tonight, we're gonna talk numbers and rearrange and try and add in that other stuff. And based on that information, I might be able to start doing this.
so yeah, we can decide after. It looks like we can do the
Okay.
10th. Can
Okay,
you do
so
the
you,
10th?
Yeah, I just have a reuse meeting before, so I might be late at the worst case.
And then
So you
15
did get-
January,
you did
we're
get the
doing
fire
it, and then I'll
chiefs.
call in.
Want me to
stuff.
go,
So if you could go print
Oh,
that,
okay.
So we're staying
send
with
it
the
on
15th?
January 2nd.
Yeah, let me. I didn't get the police though.
I didn't know if we were doing the 10th instead of the 15th.
Well, I agree that it'll be tough to try, or like, at what percentage of this thing is supposed to be done for us to say, hey, this is a successful meeting and we don't,
Right.
waste each other's time, so.
You know, and again, we can always schedule more and then cancel. It's easier to cancel
Right.
a
Yeah.
already scheduled meeting than
Oh,
to
the
schedule
15th.
one.
There's another meeting on the 15th. It's the bylaw public review of warrant. That's what I have for the text. There's an FYI, the suggested codification to the bylaws will be the subject of a public meeting on the 15th at 6:30 in this conference room. Town council and Carol H. will be there to hear questions, comments, and concerns that they might make appropriate revisions for a follow-up public meeting. The red line should be done or be on the website on or about 12/20. So that's also going on. But I won't be there for that either. It's gonna be, it would be easier for me to call into our
Mhm.
meeting. But just as an FYI, that's also occurring. All right, so 10 January, maybe, based on work tonight. 15th, we're saying yes. But we're basically pushing the envelope
Mm.
in terms of quorum.
Yeah.
Because just like he said, he just wants everyone to be and say, this is what we're aligned with. But if I'm writing this, I'm gonna be
You're gonna be
fairly
up on-
well aligned with it anyway. And I'll be able to listen in and like, Mike, I think that's not the way we want to say that. Could you rewrite this part?
Yeah.
Or he winds up taking it at that point to say, good, you got me to the point where I can take over and put the final touches.
Right, yep.
Paste in the tables or whatever else we're gonna have. All right. When I've been creating the calendar items, I've sent those to you, so.
Yes, yep,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
I think I still have that one on there. Nope, that's the Veterans Board. There's a Veterans Board meeting that night too.
Thank you.
So I will create one for the 15th. If I can spell it right. What's he doing, printing out fire department?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the DPW one. He did give us a number of updates, some things to take off. But he didn't give us any priorities.
So, do we either glean the priorities, or do we use our own, hate using the same words over and over again, but
Mhm.
rationale, our evaluation criteria based on what we've talked about to say, let's do, I mean, fire department, oh, actually, this is DPW.
This is
Yeah.
DPW, yep. I mean, we could certainly do that, but again, how are we to know what's most important to the department?
Yeah.
You
But
know,
we're thinking about it from the aspect of the community. So we're a committee that's charged with,
But if they're not important enough to him
to say,
to give us,
this is what I need the most.
I really need this. we've
I don't
got
know, I
somebody
mean, my
else-
first time on doing this, so like,
Yeah.
we're gonna come up with a list. He doesn't have anything that's being paid for by a grant or an enterprise, right?
Correct.
So these ones are gonna go on our list, and we're gonna wind up saying, here's our order of what we should be, spending through. At some point, that could be in conflict with another department, his own wishes, and we wind up saying, we chose this one because this one at least is, I'm trying to think of one of them, is the, ventilation one of his?
I think
No,
it's
that's the fire department.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's say it was
So
one
the
of
lift
his.
is one of his.
Okay.
So, yep, the lift is important to him. They
Right.
need that, the one they have is not.
If I saw one
active.
on there that was gonna improve their, the safety and performance of his department and, or, you know, the welfare of his, maybe
We can definitely throw something in there if we think it's worthy of being on the list.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because in the absence, if he gives us a priority, we're like, well, we'll try and act in accordance with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with doing that. I just am hesitant to, I mean, if it's not important enough for the department head to say, this is what's gonna be the biggest benefit for our department and our service level to the community,
Yeah.
you know.
That's bananas that you can't do that. I would rather have this first.
Mhm.
Not calling out anybody, it's just,
Right.
Yeah.
We can
It's
see
just
where we're at with
important to
the other
do.
things that we think are on the list, and if
Mhm.
there's money or,
yeah.
Right, so again,
Necessity.
if he's not willing to provide the priorities, then I would say we look at that department last, we prioritize everybody else's that has given us priorities, see how much money's left over.
Mm. Yeah, I would take an overall
Who gets the
approach.
leftovers, you know, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I take the approach of, I'd rather overlook the whole list of what's out there or not, priority or not, to say, are we funding, or is our recommendations benefiting the community? You know, if he had a new vending machine on there, we really like to have a new Coke machine. That's low priority. I don't think we have anything like that, but it's just as a funny example of trying to say, we're trying to look out for the community. At least me as a representative of the advisory committee, and then what the advisory committee does, I look at that to say, are we using the taxpayers' money? No, we've got,
wisely,
yeah.
Okay. Well, after we get all the updates in, then we can see the fiscal requested year,
Right.
what ones are 2020, and that's the group that we then evaluate.
Mhm.
So, let's see, let me pull up the. we start out with H8. He's got that as a Mac 2018. Special order town meeting 94 will be surplus. So that's being replaced with 2018 Mac.
Is there any way you could connect to the internet with that? Because my Excel's not opening up, so I can't
Yeah.
print the other document.
Yeah, but since I'm on the guest network, I can't print it or anything.
Could we just pull it up here?
Yeah.
Because I'm only able to print this. For some reason, my Excel, it's not.
Did you reboot your computer?
I rebooted it and it's still.
We've been having problems all day.
Let's
Citrix
see.
keeps going down.
Like it'll come up, but when you hit print, it like freezes there.
Oh,
Word's working. It's 50%, right? Let me go back there and see if it's unfrozen.
Yeah, I don't, I won't be able to connect to my machine at home, which
Took
is
it to
where.
the hall? Would that make any difference?
Well, if he can't open the application, he won't be
Oh.
able to print it anywhere. Okay, so.
No, it's frozen on print.
See a paper in your copier?
Mhm.
See a paper in your copier?
No, like literally the screen's frozen on
Even, yeah.
print. That's why I was over there for so long. I rebooted it, tried it again, still didn't work. Which was weird because my Excel was working earlier.
So while you were gone, we noticed he didn't provide us any priorities. So you want to go back to him and say you want to provide us what priorities?
I went through my emails. Did he send us the list 1 through, remember? He sent us a list at our last meeting. It was 1 through 10, and then we just needed the years. And then that's why these are highlighted, because these were the years. He had a priority list. Remember that, Mike? PPW, the priority list for buildings and grounds. That one right there. Yeah, right here. This is the right, number 1 through, that was his priority.
We'll put that into the spreadsheet. That's the thing, you know, we have all of these, 30 different, that's why we,
Yeah, good for you for
this is the
remembering that,
spreadsheet.
because I did not,
Update the spreadsheet.
I didn't remember that. What's the priority? The numbers on the left?
Yeah, number 1.
Okay.
And then see, this just gets, because the format, this got moved over.
Oh, I see.
Right, so put the priority numbers in here, because this is what we're updating. We're not updating that.
No, but I'm
Yeah.
putting here to list the new purchase,
Okay.
and then just chipper.
all day here.
I haven't been outside,
It was mostly
yeah.
drizzle.
The cold out now, when you came in?
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's gonna freeze.
Yeah.
Is he like 34 degrees or 29 degrees? Definitely not where we need it to be. So it wouldn't freeze.
Did they say 40 tomorrow?
Really?
I heard 40 at, I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday.
I wouldn't mind that. Doug, that was your handwritten working copy?
No, this is from the DPW
That's,
director.
okay, so you're
So
just
I'm trying to-
consolidating.
I'm trying to
Okay,
put it all together.
okay.
This is what he
So
gave
that'll
me,
be
so.
like a working hand copy that will go into Doug's master sheet.
Why are we locked up here? What'd you do, Adam?
It's been all day.
All day. That's why I can't print the fire
Yeah.
departments.
I didn't read the email that came out about
Yeah.
the migration. Is that been going all right?
I don't know, I thought maybe that's why we were having issues.
Oh, probably.
I got kicked out several times today of everything I was in.
Beginning Friday, the 11th. We haven't even started yet.
Yeah, I think they were working on it today.
Okay. Yeah, it says we have migration tools that will be moving the files from Net Solutions account over to Office 365. We have already begun this process, so.
Yeah, she sent a list of the new email addresses this afternoon,
Yeah,
what it was, what it will be,
yep.
something about
Oh,
passwords.
really? Like actual, okay, because I was reading what she sent.
Yeah,
When was this? She sent this on
it was today, maybe.
January 7th. Yesterday.
Maybe late morning, early afternoon when I saw
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm not on her distribution.
Oh, okay.
This is, and then Jeff, it's sent to the advisory committee
Oh.
account, and then Jeff does us the courtesy of emailing it out to the others.
She said something about a password. I don't use a password, so hopefully I'll be able to get in. Want me to look for stuff while you, it would help if you.
There's a lot of stuff with
Look,
DPW. I'm good. I'll figure it out. That's why when Mike made the suggestion, having the DPW, having all these departments submit a standardized sheet, it's gonna make this a lot easier
Yeah,
than,
I think we can
there's-
mention that in the report as like a way forward.
Boxes and purchase. We're not putting the payments on, cause that was 2,000, right?
So based on this update from the fire chief, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things for 2020. Those are his priorities. So the SCBA bottles,
Yeah,
This is
that's a
number one.
no-brainer.
then the ambulance, that new stretcher system, because they need that for the new ambulance
there's
because
the
the old
exhaust
one is
system,
no
yeah.
longer compliant. The exhaust system, the compression system, and then the ambulance computers. There's 2 of those. And those have a estimated useful life of 5 years. Vehicle exhaust system.
Stretcher system. So, the stretcher system. Did he have one in there already? And this was going to be like the full?
No, I don't,
Yeah, so what they have now is, it's just a single hook that comes out of the back
Yeah.
and the stretcher hooks onto it, but they still have to have manual lift, and
So
if
this
it gets
helps the,
cockeyed, the patient can fall off.
I think this new one was like 2 rails that came out or
Right.
something, and
And that system is now no longer compliant. So that's why the stretcher
mm-hmm.
is up high on his list, because it needs to be in compliance. Okay. So,
300,000 for a
right,
ambulance.
so now on the Google bottles. He has 10,000. Cause it's 8 at 96, so yeah, that's 10. The ambulance, we're at 300. And Carter said to change our percentage to 5.5.
Good catch.
Five, all right, then get back down here to fire department. So the ambulance. That's 4,000, so he was saying to only do it for 5 years, the lease. But that 5 years is gonna give you a payment of $70,000 a year.
over our budget.
And he said 56 was the max they could do. So we'll need to ask him about that.
$300,000 projection is for
Just the
The
ambulance.
cost of the ambulance.
cost of the ambulance.
Yep.
So we took 300,000 out of the money that we think that we have available. That would buy a whole new ambulance. No lease, no nothing, right?
Right,
So if we look at the lease option, so we can take a piece of this, the 450, and devote it to that. But that's leasing for 5 years.
right.
And then the ambulance goes back to wherever we're leasing it from.
Yeah, typically the municipal leases are, it's yours at the end. You don't give it back, right?
That, I think that's the part that I didn't understand.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had any leases where we give the vehicle back at the
No.
end. It's a buyout lease.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
That, I was unclear about that, but So in that case, you're basically, you know, it's a layaway plan.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And what's the cost of the stretcher?
The cost of what?
The stretcher?
Sure. Oops,
Here, we changed it.
it's in there.
I have it. Let's see. Saves the back of the first responders. State may mandate soon. That's what the chief had said.
Mhm.
Stretcher alone is. He had the wrong cost in there.
Oh, yeah, we have this, it was like the cost of two, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's actually 58 grand per. And he wants two, so what, 116? 116 for two. Thank God for notes. Yeah, he had it originally 29 grand, but he said, he's like, that's not right. And I changed it. He put it for 2020, okay?
So should it be the 58 for two? If he had 29, we just put what, 116, we doubled the
He was
50?
looking, he had, I don't think he had handouts, but he had
I thought
his
each.
sheets.
Let me see what he gave us in the update.
Okay. Show you what I had. It's
Yeah,
up near the
remember
top,
that, there were a couple that were,
right? This is where I actually need a standalone calculator.
See how I had to organize.
But it's up, now it's updated.
Now it's updated. It's corresponding to all these numbers here.
oh, cost
Some
per
of
was
these new
20,
purchases are
okay.
down here. Then it continues on to this page.
So those numbers will go where he's, like, where he put his
Yeah.
department priority.
So we're gonna have to, I believe we started from number one, right, and go down?
That's how he sorted it.
Okay.
Yeah. But he can't sort it unless, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, that was right.
I'm gonna go back to the ambulance thing. I gotta pull up my calculator. So we do very quick math, right? No, I'm not doing it right.
Divide it. Oh, no, my mistake.
Where is that
You
the-
take the decimal and then you put 0.0055.
Okay. Times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my bad. That's where
it?
5.5% interest, right?
On 300,000?
Is that every year?
It's
No, no,
about
no,
70,000 a year.
Yeah.
70, okay. 300,000. Yeah. 0.55. Yeah, there we go.
There's the Excel formula.
Oh, you already have the Excel formula in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's already got it in.
So that ain't gonna work.
Right. So I don't know why
Right,
Carter
5
would have
years.
thought 5 years would give him a number that low.
300,000 divided by 5.
Well, what's the life?
Yeah, it's 76.
The life is 10, which is why we
Okay.
had 10 in there.
But
And
if
that
you wait
was
till the 10
36.
to get the next one,
Right, then you've got
you're
a,
dealing with a 10-year-old ambulance.
yeah. But that's what its life expectancy is
Right.
10. And that gives you then a constant, you know, because if you
Right.
roll it out after 10 years, you're still now having the same, you know, fixed expense out of your operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the stretcher system in his update, yeah, 116,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that was right.
Even with the math that if I'm screwing up the math, even with my math, that goes over the ceiling of, what was the ceiling, 58?
56.
56.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we did it at 10 years, then that brings the payment to
Can we meet in the middle?
39.8.
How long do these things last?
10.
10 is the
10 years?
expected, yeah, its expected useful life is 10 years.
So like what you were saying, like 7.7 year, 8 year?
Can-
It's up to them to do is it up to the town or the leasing company?
Well, the leasing company would dictate what terms they're
Probably
willing
at a
to
higher
offer.
percentage.
Yeah, correct, probably at a higher
Right.
percentage, yeah.
Can you put a down payment? Like some up front?
Good.
And that way you're not financing as much.
Let me reply to Carter.
Because if they have it as priority 2, I mean, it's,
You know, but you're gonna throw the stretcher in there too, or, I mean, at least one of them,
Right,
you know, so you're talking almost 360, 358, right?
and that's just fire.
Right.
So what you just said, combined with trying to do some equity across the departments to see, we're not giving all of the capital improvements to one department. Does that make sense too?
But if we went out, even if we went out the 10 years for.
Right.
You're not talking about 300 and,
Yeah, it's
Right,
you're
now you're
spread out.
talking, you're
talking-
just talking the payment that
Right,
we're
which
taking
is,
out of the budget of what we
you know,
have.
39,000
Right,
plus your 116, so you're at roughly 40, so you're at 146 for fire versus,
can that
But
stretcher
in
be
theory, you're right.
broken down amongst years?
I
Or is that a
don't see why
outright
not.
purchase?
I mean, I don't see why not.
And then that's, if we're taking on the ambulance, then that basically that goes to the next year capital, right?
No, so the next year, it would come out of the operating budget because it's now an established lease
Okay. And that's where Carter comes up with, this is what I can handle.
in the operating
If you
budget.
if you give me something more than that, then that's gonna throw my budget off. All right, I
So
get it, I
every
understand.
department can have a leased item of 56,000?
No,
No,
just
no,
total.
Oh, total, okay.
right, and I think that was for, let me see if I can find his email.
Got me
again.
nervous there, sure.
So, we wind up taking care of fires, a couple of their priorities, and we use our silver bullet of the one least item, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we throw it into the fire category to try and get some of the town's, safe life and health priorities out of the way. And a big one, ambulance and the stretcher system, so we're able to do his mandatories. Well, I mean, that number being the variable. The
I think
PT stretcher system, if we bought one, that would go into the old, actually, does the new ambulance come with the stretcher system as part of, updated equipment?
I didn't think so. It
Yeah,
sounded like a
didn't.
separate item.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
It
really?
sounded like a separate, entirely, you got a
Because
box,
again,
you get an
different-
empty box.
Different states could have different
Right,
requirements.
I'm just
for
wondering what
stretchers.
the total number is gonna be when we say, hey, let's go for 1, 2, 3 on his priority. What is that number gonna represent, and do we feel good you, cause the DPW's got leased stuff in there, right?
Oh,
So we use the silver bullet to saying, okay, ambulance it is, and by the way, we need you to be at 7 years, and hopefully it
Yeah.
goes at 5.5. And then Carter's gonna say, you know, thanks, you just drew down my operating budget for an extra 2 years. Or buy the ambulance outright and try and do what you can with the other ones and give the silver bullet to the DPW. There's another,
alternative.
right?
What else do we have that has big items?
Good
Is
question.
anything on the police that would require,
I think it was the compressor, right?
yeah,
Like the one-
yeah,
Or you had a generator too.
Yeah, the
Which-
generator,
compressor,
compressor, yeah.
Oh, well, the police has, some grant money, so what percent,
911.
what percentage is their stuff? That might help us out.
But I think the big one's with
compressor?
DPW right here.
What's the
Compressor or generator or something, whatever they have is not sufficient,
This is the big one
I
right
don't
here.
think,
DPW.
well, DPW is always big. You know, fire doesn't.
You said
usually have
compressor.
many, but
I don't see compressor
big.
on here.
Yeah.
is it compressor or generator?
Generator.
Generator.
Yeah,
compressor.
yeah, yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
But what priority was that for him, though? Was that number one?
There's no priority on this.
But with the construction
Did he
going,
do his list in the way he wanted his priorities? Did he say that, he prioritized by,
kind of went through it at the meeting, but I
Yeah,
could say that generator.
Well, I mean, I can
is-
tell you the generator is for the new station and otherwise, he's
Right.
gonna need that.
Yep.
Or else he is all done if the power goes out. Police, okay, so cruisers, the E911 grant money, 3 vehicles in 2019.
so that's what he's using that for.
Live scans pushed to 2020. They've gone up in price. New station is ahead of schedule.
I don't know if that's true anymore, is it?
It's moving along pretty fast. There was some,
Radio and WAN upgrades pushed to 2020 or later, based on the next E911 grants. So we can think of that. Just trying to balance out these things. I would love to
Yeah.
be able to do that
these right here.
that ambulance, but
I went
it
through
seems like it's gonna eat our lunch
and I had-
any way
that's
we
why you
try
started
and
writing on
slice
this,
that up.
'cause This signifies number
Um,
one. Is right
coming
here.
from
We
that
had no
last
new
MMA
purchase, so
meeting,
we're following. All
where we
these other
saw
ones are two,
how other
it's right
towns
here.
that are, we're doing all right, but some other towns, their capital planning, they're like,
Four. Right
you
here.
know, like,
So it's
what
not
do they do?
on this. 5
So
right here.
they buy stuff
Six.
outright, and there are definite,
That way you'll know which ones to.
Yeah, I don't
And then
think we
he
can
provided
compare
updates
ourselves
to
to any
us.
other town.
Yep.
no,
on
but
what
it's
to take
interesting
off
when
here,
you
what to-
consider
Right.
how,
But
like other towns
you
are
should've-
like, oh yeah, we love to buy
Like I
stuff
highlighted
outright
it, and I was asking
because,
Well,
them
who wouldn't?
to
right, but maybe we
And that's what
can,
I
if
scanned
we're
and sent it
actually
to you.
doing well this year to say, you know
Update
what?
the spreadsheet.
Instead of doing all these leases and otherwise, we buy it outright,
because it
we
was
make
sent
sure
to
that
me.
the maintenance
was
is,
given
you
to me
know,
like this.
Right, so he,
incorporated.
instead of writing all these
And then,
things, he
you
could have
know-
just updated the spreadsheet.
That leaves
That's why we sent it to him.
150,000.
Okay.
Good point.
Well, we
I was
have
just working with what I
450.
had, so.
That was a hard number that Carter gave, right? Or was it,
What's that?
450.
450?
Right, that's his estimation of
Okay,
what we'll have available.
after all the, transfers and otherwise, okay. Well, anyway, we're just talking fire right now, right? So those are a few of the variables that we can consider doing there, but if we're trying to do the first three,
Yeah, well, after I get all the departments updated, what we'll do is we'll resort this by everything that's 2020 in
Okay.
you know, everything that's 2020 in this column. And then we can see what, okay, here's the real total requests for that year. That's why it would have been a lot more effective if I could have gotten this done before tonight, but I didn't.
I still think
When you go
the
through,
discussion is actually going well.
just double check the price to make sure it matches up to what he submitted on the priority list. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'll let him know though, next time, make sure you just update the spreadsheet.
All right, so the police, let's see what he sent. Okay, police department.
Or think it was 36K for 10 years. Okay. Let's see, Adam wrote in all of the DPW priorities
With updated,
with updated cost.
capital items spreadsheet. Cause there's also ones on there that he wants to take off too, in
Right,
addition
yeah,
to.
right. We tried to do it that as best as we could the last time through when we were watching, when we were watching Doug do it.
Mm-hmm, yep. Took a while, a lot of items on there.
Yeah, they have a lot of items.
Who are we looking at now?
Oh,
You
Mike's
guys-
just updating the minutes.
Okay. All right, so.
So you wanted to look at, police on here? Police, I think you did a lot of up, because we had the information, you were able to change the sheet.
Yes, I think, yeah, the only thing we were really asking him for was priorities, and he said that the list he provided was in order by priority.
That's what I thought,
Really?
yeah. That's what I thought he had said that night.
I mean, he's got the he's got the generator way down at the
I
bottom.
think it's by section though.
Oh,
So other would be number one,
okay.
but like vehicle inventory, then computer inventory, then, so basically these are all number one.
Okay. So his Acers that are 6 years old, I mean, what do we want? I mean,
That's how
you
I,
see what I'm, he's got
that's-
younger computers first and the older ones.
But
yeah.
did he say they were working fine, or?
Or maybe he just means this section.
Well, I know that the Polaris, that's the four-wheeler, right? He said that thing was running no problems.
Yep.
Like it's old, but he's like, it's no problem.
Mhm.
But we know this one.
I know.
Yeah, see, and down there, I think it's just inventory. I really think this is what he's requesting.
Up on the top?
Yeah.
That's all vehicles, though.
Well, that's vehicle inventory, right?
Yeah, he's kinda got categories.
Other. Then
Categories.
I think he'll be happy with that generator.
Polaris. Okay, so yeah, maybe down here, see where it says other?
Yeah.
So the generator might be his number one, the Polaris, then the
Lars, he said
live
was
scan.
fine.
Hmm,
He said that one was fine.
the Polaris?
He
Yeah,
said the
he
live
said it
scan we
worked
can
great
push.
Okay, yeah, the 2020, I see that.
mobile radar sign.
So that's what we're doing is 2020.
So in that
Oh, yeah.
so in that case.
Well,
it just
he
seems
said
to
or
be-
later, or, I mean, well, I don't wanna say that he said it, but I wrote that down as, what were we saying, live scans? Oh, no, I said live scans pushed to 2020, gone up in price. Well, the other, the radio and WAN was the thing I said, he can go 20 or 20 later based on his next E911. And he has, were we going off the numbers that I had, like looking at his balance for grants and, cause he's just going off of grants, right?
No, I mean, generally, he's got stuff that comes out of
Mhm.
taxation.
Yeah, like one of the vehicles right now is a lease, right?
Yeah, so last year, we did the, police cruiser.
Out of, the capital budget?
Yeah, see this number 3 here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here we did say that this is what we were recommending, and like the air packs was because that's first responder life safety. The DPW was because of public safety. The tractors because it's daily use. Fire doors was public safety. And then the building door, they were rusted holes that caused heat loss and safety issues. The town hall windows was for energy efficiency. And the fire station training room AC for conductive learning environment. So that was kind of why we chose those.
We didn't do the windows, did we?
We haven't done the 4 in the front yet.
Just looking for my last, budget to actual.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so, replacement. So he's got a replacement column here. So the Impala would be 2018, 2019. So then he's got 3 for 2020. The 3 2015 Explorers he wants to replace in 2020. Or 2
those-
Explorers and the Taurus.
And what was his estimate for those? 60? What was, 60 grand per per?
But he didn't wanna replace them with Explorers.
Right. Just trying to pull up, what does he have going for grant money? Does he has how many does he pull from? E911, police
That's the
gift,
big one right there.
police gift, ending 103. Okay.
This is a proposal for the doors. I got this from Bob before the meeting for the entrance to town hall.
Police vest, no, I don't think he was using that. E911
So that
balance
way-
was at
Bring
87,000.
that number in. To the,
But I thought he had that earmarked for something.
The E911,
Mm.
I'll look at my notes again. Just Citizens Corps Program grant? No, it's, it's in arrears anyway. Those were his big ones. There's the debt exclusion for the police station. table. I'm going through all of the trusts. There wasn't any named, where it's a name. J. Hadley Expendable Trust,
I
Pine
don't
Grove.
recall that.
I don't think any of those are police.
Okay, conservation, okay, so the big ones are the police gift, and that's at 103. This is at the end of October. I don't know if he was using it for anything. I don't have at least I can't find a more current budget to actual. These come from Kelly.
Yeah, November should be out. Whether you got it or not, I'm pretty sure November's was out.
Okay. I'll look, but I mean, at least these give us a good talking point for what's
Right.
going to what. E911 was at 87,000. Oh, the other one was on the previous page. Police gift, 103. All right, so. Fire CPR donations. It's at $2,800. Is that significant enough for us to consider?
What's that?
There's a line item, it's fire/CPR donations, expenses, and that balance is at 2,800. Nothing's been spent out of that. There's another one called rescue donations expenses. That's at $1,600. They're not really that
Right,
significant.
and again, we don't know really what those accounts are for.
Right,
You know,
but
that's why
I throw it out there just for.
Yeah, some of them have
So if the department had
stipulations.
intended to use,
Right.
you know, in grants, a lot of grants have conditions. They may not be able to be used for buying a vehicle or, you
Yep.
know, getting a stretcher or, you know, so if a department is intending to use, you know, available funds other than
Mm-hmm.
the capital budget, they should have been telling us this, just like
Right.
cable, you know,
Should be on there.
they've
yeah.
told us. Same with the assessors, you know, they told us they have a source of funding.
Mhm.
I mean, our source of funding is the,
I have a note from the Chief Bennett's meeting. It says E911 grant money, 3 vehicles in 2019. That's
and-
the money that we're looking at now, right?
right. So those are for the 3 that he purchased this year. He used the 911 grant.
Mhm.
Right. And so that must be, I'm really talking, you know, like, that's gotta be a lease. He split that money out into whatever the leases are to get those vehicles.
Mhm.
I don't, so what did I say, the E911 was 87,000? Yeah, the gift was at 103.
I thought they were intended to use the gift for furnishing the new station.
That's the thing, yeah. That's why we could look at these pools of money, but there's usually some kind of, like what Selectman Morrison said, conditions.
So are we able to use this sheet here to see which ones he's doing?
He did
Or do we already update this?
So I have not fully updated this yet,
Okay.
but it looks like what he had requested in 19. So again, that's the piece we're missing too, is what was really approved in 19 and what was executed in 19.
Mm-hmm. Taurus, Impala,
Right, so he's got a Taurus and an Impala and a Cruiser. So the
Taurus
top
is
3
the
lines
SRO.
there are the vehicles that he requested in 2019.
that he's probably using his current line items for now.
Yep. But he's still got
What
the
is- what-
2007 Chevy Impala
much-
on the list.
Are they standardized, how much they are? Can you, move it a little bit to the, cause I think you have that,
Oops.
yeah, I think he standardized these.
Right, so the Explorers are 44, the Tauruses are the 32.
Interesting. So these are 19s, and it's coming out of taxpayer, not the non.
Mhm.
So he's
Right, so
got
at the time we did capital planning, he may have decided to use the grant sometime after that.
I vaguely recall him saying something like that.
But again, this 2000 Chevy Impala,
So that's 110 right there. Not the debt exclusion, but the
Yep.
15, 20, and 75, that's 110,000.
right,
That lines up at least close to either one of his line items.
mhm.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a vehicle, that's a system.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, none of those are, sorry.
Yeah, the vehicles
So
are in the
the vehicles are the three here
Taxpayer
at the
funded.
top. Or the two at the top.
two at the top
But
and then
that
two further down
2000
past.
Chevy Impala, he's still got that on
So
the list.
those, yeah, if that's what you just said, like he flip flopped them and said,
Yeah.
I need vehicles. So he used his gifts for that, and he pushed those other things to say, I'm going to put these on my wish list because I don't have money for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all we need to do is two questions there. Where do you sit for vehicles? Did you get what you needed? Meaning, did you push a vehicle that you had planned? And what's your priority for the non-vehicle things? Is your priority the generator and then what we see?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna write that down because I think that's what we're gonna have to ask him, right? Because we don't have any feedback from the last time we met from the chief, right?
The only feedback we have is that I have attached my updated capital plan. The one you sent me did not look to be totally updated to the one I submitted. My list goes in order of priority.
That's tough, looking at this. I don't know how that,
In order to make a
so
decision.
the questions are, did you fully pay for the 3 vehicles, right? 3 vehicles you wanted in FY19 with the balance of the gift / E911 question. 2, if he did get the vehicles, what then is his priority? Because at that point, he's got a balance of 190. If he got all the vehicles he needed, what is left out of that? And then what is left for his 20 desires aside from the generator? Because I think we can assume that the generator's a part of that.
Mhm.
How much was the generator?
65.
65. I think at that point, that's an outright purchase, right?
Yeah, it would be probably.
So I would say, just talking through this right now, that'd be like what we get him, and then anything else he's paying for based on whatever the delta is on the 190. Let's say he said, I did everything with 150,000, and that left 40,000, and say, okay, what's your priority?
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll help you with the generator.
Mhm.
But what else? Is there anything else, onesies and twosies, that you're doing here? I think that's what we wind up seeing and saying, okay, you did good job getting your vehicles done. generator number one, and then probably something else small, like a sign.
Yep.
That sign was, like $4,000. If you did the vehicles, how much is left? Left from gift money. Because we're not gonna try and do a vehicle. I don't think we're gonna be able to for him. He's taking care of his own. If that statement in my notes was right about him going for broke and getting as many vehicles as he could in FY19, then we're hoping that he does that, because we're not gonna be able to.
Absolutely.
Not with all the other, the ambulance and then what the DPW is gonna need.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think that's really the questions back to to Chief Bennett, and then we can go from there. So, if, for tonight, we know that the generator, and then whatever his priority list would, however we can fit in the rest of it. All right, if you did.
So we're looking at generator
Yeah.
for police.
I don't think a lease.
No, for police.
Oh. Sorry,
It's okay.
it's late,
Yep.
Okay.
It's been a long.
yeah.
Because also, Bob sent me this email that we're probably gonna have to add to the.
Oh.
the
One more to the capital planning.
Meant to give that too.
To replace all street signs post hardware, there are 540 signs that need to be replaced. All products will be furnished in accordance to the government DOT state specifications, which meet or exceed that of federal highway.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to replace everything.
Over.
Right, but he's saying, I need to do everything, so here's my plan to try and change all of the signage across the town. That's stop, yield, speed limit,
Yep.
pick up your dog poop.
Because he wants to take this, there's a sign making machine in there.
That was
Yeah, but
Alan.
that's,
He wants to take that off and do it this way.
On a contract.
yeah.
Oof. Pricing would fluctuate 2% to 7% over the next 3 to 4 years, depending on the impending steel tariffs and other global economic factors. He says it's overdue. Yeah, so we'll have to put it in there. And then, he said it's overdue, so we can assume it's a high priority.
Yep.
All right, what is left to take care of the generator?
Did you just want to?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Or
What
did
is
you
left
want
to take care of the generator? Any other low
So-
dollar?
So based on the update he provided us,
I'll just leave it.
he has 6 things for 2020. 2
DPW?
Explorers,
Oh, please.
2 Explorers, the computers, the generator, the live scan, and the mobile radar sign.
2
In that
Explorers,
order.
lives, go ahead. 2 Explorers,
2 Explorers, the 16
Generator.
computers, the generator, the live scan, and the mobile radar.
Actually, that's how we have them in order.
I thought we did them.
Those are in the order that you just read off,
Yeah. So,
right there.
right, so this is what's starting 2020.
So that's not aligned.
Right, so I don't see any different in this than what I sent him.
it's calculated age, never mind.
But he's got a PD
Oh,
update, so this is, so those are the 2020. Explorer, computers, generator, live scan, and mobile.
You wanna see those?
Hmm,
Okay, so 44. He has the
16.
live scan the live scan was based on the new E911 money, but we didn't have that estimate. So he's looking for us to. Does Excel, if you just highlight,
It'll add them.
will it?
So do what?
You just highlight and box those down to 4,000.
One more, yeah.
There you go. Now it should be in the lower right-hand side, the sum. There you
Sum 148. It's my stomach again.
I'm not sure,
sorry.
I'm wondering if it's mine, but it's yours, huh?
It's wicked loud. It's because I don't eat anything. I got a candy bar in my coat I should eat. 148.
But the Explorer's gonna probably be leased.
Right.
So you're not talking
So the
44.
maximum, right. Is that an outright cost?
Yes.
Seems like the decision's gonna be between the Explorers and the ambulance, am I right?
So if we did these
Is
at
that what we're looking at here?
5 years,
Cause we're only, the 56,000 is,
What? Nope, go
Oops.
down, wrong one.
sorry.
No problem.
Yep.
But they're low, so if the ambulance is such a big cost, you're like, I can't do it unless I squeeze the balloon from another end, but those are so low, you might be able to aggregate them together.
mm-hmm,
We just can't aggregate the ambulance with anything because it's just too high dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But the 244, if like we got both Explorers and then looked at, all right, what would that be per year? And then some DPW stuff, I can imagine that there's gonna be some leased stuff in there. These are 10 grand?
Yep.
So you
That's achievable.
You could do the ambulance at 10 and both those vehicles, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Cause that brought it down to what, 35, 36?
30, no, it's 39 actually, I
39.
think, yep.
And then Carter pulls out any hair that he has left.
Yeah, 'cause yeah, so then you got 40 for the ambulance, and these two is 20. So that puts you at 60, so that's
Then again, that doesn't
4,000.
include the stretcher.
No.
doesn't.
Right, but you would buy, must fund the stretcher outright
Yeah.
at 116.
Yeah.
Same with,
We could do the ambulance and these two Explorers as a lease.
right, and we
Pretty
would,
close.
And the percentage is gonna go higher too, so that, I mean, if, the silent person, Carter looks at it and says, great, you're asking me to go to 10 years, he's like, it's not gonna be 5.5, it's gonna be 8, I don't know, just throwing out a number
Yeah.
here, so he's gonna say, this is what you've added on to my operating budget over the period of whatever.
mm-hmm,
Can you figure out a way? I think the 10 years is, it looked good,
mm-hmm.
but I think it's more like what Cheryl was saying, like trying to split a difference thing to say, can we ask you to, or our recommendation is to negotiate, to get this high dollar critical item for the community, we would ask you to try and break your financial rules.
So do we push one Explorer to next year? 21? Do the ambulance and one Explorer?
Yeah, that sounds fair, I mean, cause
Right,
somebody
so
puts
he's
my question.
21, all he's got is a Taurus.
1, 2, 3, 2 Explorers, okay, so the age on these 2 Explorers are 2 years. The ones after that, if we pushed it, he wanted to do 2 Explorers in 21.
Mm-hmm.
We got,
So he's doing Explorer number,
we've already pushed those out to 22, is that it? Cause they're on the spreadsheet as 22.
Yeah, the Taurus is 21.
Right, but the two other
There it
Explorers.
is, okay. Well, he pushed that. 2015 Taurus on here it was 2020. We pushed that, right, to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying try and do both, and Explorer and the Taurus, based on our spreadsheet, which kind of doesn't.
Well, he
line up
wants
with
two
what-
Right, and
Explorers
again,
for
I may need
2020.
to,
Yeah, that, just do one, you're saying, right?
right, and I may need
That's
to,
gonna
we may
Push
need
us
to look
back
at
with the
these
others, though.
dates. So the Impala, the 9 Taurus, and that Crown Vic, so then
Those are the three he's
9
doing this year.
Taurus and the Impala, yeah. Crown Vic was all the 19. All right, so then in 20, he's got 2 Explorers and a Taurus. 2 Explorers and the Taurus.
So we must have pushed those out,
So here's the Taurus
and the
and the
Explorers are right below it.
Explorers.
Mm-hmm.
So we must have pushed those out already.
Oh no, here's the 2 Explorers are the ones up here.
That's for this year.
Right.
Then he's got 2 for 2022.
And that
Those are
those are the
15s.
2017s.
Right.
is the sign. So this 2015 Taurus though, see he's got that for 2020.
So did we push it out, or did he push it
No,
out?
because we haven't, well, let me see what this update is. Maybe he pushed it in this update. So the 15 Taurus, he's got it as 2021 in here. But again, I'm not sure in this update that he really,
Yeah, that was a sum. Mm-hmm.
if any of that's accurate, or if we need to go back to this. See, I wish they would just update the spreadsheet instead of doing all these other things.
Mm.
That's what. So 148 is if we gave him everything. The 2 Explorers, the 16 computers, the generator. The generator was on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mhm.
Live scan and mobile radar. That's his wish list.
Wish list.
Yep. Of what we're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
Live scan. Well, actually, excuse me. Live scan was the only thing he was paying for that he expected out of E911 for 2020. We just don't have that figure, or at least I'm not aware of that figure. So, for 148, we're able to give him 2 Explorers, 16 computers, a generator, and mobile radar. Remember, the mobile radar is $4,000.
But it was you that suggested taking one of the Explorers off, right, Cheryl?
In order to do what?
In order to get the
Well,
ambulance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If you wanna try to use the lease, but
What
we
nu-
gotta
what-
push out the ambulance for
Right.
10
What
years,
number are
but that-
you, in your mind, what number are you using for the ambulance? So we're able to give him a thumbs up
10
and say
year,
we're,
Well, 10 years, yeah.
In order to.
Because
do
if we
these-
go 5, we're over the limit already.
Right, and-
way over it.
Right, right. It's not even,
So what is it, 36?
I think it was at 39 at 10 years.
Yep. You know, in these
Plus
Explorers.
116 to get the other things. 116 was the number for
The stretcher.
stretcher, and
Or if we only got one stretcher,
116, or what was it, 58?
58, I think.
Or 58. Okay, so I'll look at it that way. Might be helpful to balance it out like this.
Do an
What was the number
ambulance.
for the things you had to get, the tubes or the
The
tanks?
scuba was it 10 grand?
Yeah, was it a large number?
I think they're like 2,000 a piece.
10. Is a total cost of 10?
For what?
The scuba bottles.
Yes, total cost is 10.
Okay, so. All right, here we go.
I mean, that's gotta be done.
$165 or So right now, to give just running totals for the different departments, if we give the fire department, the ambulance, the bottles, and the stretcher, provided that Carter doesn't kill us, that's 165.
Is the 56 included in the 450?
That, the first year's payment would be, yes.
Okay.
56? What's the 56 for this?
The amount we can lease out.
Oh, right.
So if the only 39's coming out of that 56,
Because he knows what the follow-on is gonna be. Because it's coming out of the 450, but every year after that, he's taking it
It's-
out of Hyde.
Mhm.
All right, so 165, or another number for fire is 107, and that's only getting one stretcher, and then trying to figure out when we're gonna get him his other stretcher. So by comparison, so it's 165 or 107 with the caveat about the ambulance lease, being able to mess around with that. So police has a total of $148,000 requirement, and they're gonna get, with that amount, they're able to get their 2 Explorers, their 16 computers, the generator, and the mobile radar. So 148. Nope.
So, what's your, what do you wanna calculate?
Yep. So that's 148 plus 165. So we're at 313 right now with the maximums for both departments.
so that's paying for everything in the fire department and the police department. That's not leasing, right?
Oh, is that a good point?
That's outright paying for both.
Right, because when he
Explorers?
did the box, he did outright,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, that was the sum.
So let's see, 44 and 44, 88. So if we leased them, and it was 5 years, 5.5%, that was worth 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to 80 for the police, and they get everything they want. If they are leased. So that, still using the 165 number for the fire. 65 plus 80, so we're running a potential 245 balance right now before we look at other departments. Call it half.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with just one stretcher, you said?
Yeah.
No, that's with both.
Oh, that's what's both?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you pulled one out.
Nope. With both, with only one,
Take off 50.
187. So not even half.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
At least those are some numbers to kind of think through our head as we
Mm-hmm.
plow. Get it, DPW plow.
Yeah, right.
As we plow into it's entertainment for those watching. As we start getting into that, to say where is the flexibility that we need. So right now, one of the maximum numbers we're looking at is 313, and that the 313 number, I think, outright paid for those cruisers with no impact on the so that's another bargaining chip too. Hey Carter, we paid for the police cruisers, and so we don't, that doesn't go on. Well, we're probably still gonna max that. I think that we're gonna wind up maxing the 56,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Even if it's just for the
there's
ambulance.
no love lost for him.
Yeah.
All right.
And I did send him the email asking about, that our calculation came up at 70. you know, why did he think it would be 56?
For the ambulance?
Yes.
Oh, he was anticipating.
Yes. No, he was saying that, you know, in his email, he said that, you know, assuming you lease the ambulance for 5 years, then the max that can come out of the operating budget is 56. So just from reading that, I would have assumed that he was expecting the ambulance lease for 5 years to be 56.
So, like compounding interest over years and everything like that, you
Yeah.
have faith in your formula that they,
Yeah.
okay. So it's 70.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bridge too far
Yeah.
for what Carter can do unless we
Right.
wind up changing the terms.
So that's what I, you know, asked him, said, you know, do you want us to look at extended terms or not leasing or?
And that's where we're gonna need that information before we can proceed forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So based on what we're talking through right now, I think we got a pretty good handle on where we need to give and take. What others? Oh, I forgot to write that down. I can go from memory on that one.
Sure. But the signs.
I mean, we have several other departments too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll add this into his department then as well. Is it on the sheet? Did we add it on there
7
already?
plus. So the lowest estimate that we have right now, with a caveat, is 187. That's not a bad place to be as we're talking through these things.
Right, no, not at a,
And still being, you know, equitable to the departments to saying we're doing our best to get you what you need.
mm-hmm.
All right.
Would take.
DPW
place of this
added
right here.
another
Okay.
So
requirement.
I'll just put like an asterisk or something.
Yeah, that's fine, okay.
And then
And
this-
100%
with the numbers.
signage.
All the numbers are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have any question about my handwriting
Over
Sure, you could do a
3
call or text
or
message.
4 years.
or
I'll
email.
let you know. Yeah,
540 signs. Total cost of, what are the two figures?
Oh, the two figures?
For the
Yeah, what, 3 year, it's gonna be what?
3-year plan would be 28,580.
Dollar sign,
28,000.
28,530,
80.
580.
28,6
4 year,
is 21,435.
okay. Two hundred and 540 signs sorely needed, or his words were overdue.
So it seems we've updated fire and police.
I'll capture all the numbers too, so we kind of have it, so it's not just scrawled. Running totals.
DPW, we have all the information, so with what to take off and
Mm-hmm. And once I get it all updated, I think we'll send it back to those 3 departments, since they're the biggest departments, and say, here's your last chance, this is what the plan is gonna look like. If it's not what you want,
And next year, what we'll do is we'll send them the sheet itself. That way they could update it themselves.
that's what I've done. I sent it to them when we put out the original memo
did that?
that said, update the attached plan. And the email that I sent just recently said, the current attached plan,
And it's still
update
not,
these, and even update these specific columns.
was any of it updated?
No,
I'll follow up. Is that
no, I
something
did
that
not
needs?
send anything to Bob, because you said you were gonna do that.
Yeah. But Bob I could talk to, I can make sure he submits it the way in Excel.
$39K for.
But we got
10-year.
everything from DPW though.
Mhm. Right, so
Yeah,
I'll
we're-
take the handwritten stuff and put it into the Excel sheet.
You want me to just update it?
No, you do, you got plenty of things to do too.
Okay.
You're gonna send me the Word file, so I
Yep, I'll
can
do
start
that.
on that,
Yep.
yep.
I can't send it from here,
116
I'll
for
have to
two
do it once I get
stretchers.
home.
58K for one. That gives us a lot of flexibility, is to do the one stretcher and then try and say, hey, come back to us next year, or do a grant or something like that. And then 10K for bottles.
Where'd you find this screen?
I brought it from home,
Oh, did you?
Good for you.
I was about to say.
spare bedroom.
313K.
I'm like, I don't remember seeing that anywhere.
Everything and TPD vehicles at 100% paid for. $245. I forget what that one was now. 187K for leased TPD.
Has your Excel been messing up in the office? Or just,
No,
it's
I
just
never really
load
had
slow?
too much trouble with the Excel, it's just online, if I'm in the bank, trying to do transfers or whatever, it just kicks me out constantly. And I never know if anything went through, I have to wait, it's,
Says anybody reported the trouble to Comcast?
oh, I don't know, Holly's in charge of that.
So they probably should put a trouble ticket into Comcast to have them check the line.
I'm gonna let her know.
Alright, so I got it as 313K for everything and the fire department vehicles at 100% paid for. 245 if we lease the TPD vehicles and get all of the fire department's needs, that's both stretchers. And as low, and these are again with the lease caveat as well for the ambulance. And then 39, 49, 59, we would be, actually, if the leased ambulance, so as we're talking through these, if the police vehicles are also leased, that adds another 20,000, so it'd be
Right,
59, so we'd have to not only say, can we please change the terms of the ambulance, but please, can we have three more $1,000 a year? Because he said 56, we would say, even without DPW, we would reach the max, getting the public safety.
and we gotta go over and see what the DPW needs too.
Exactly.
We're basing all this on fire and police and
Yeah,
those other departments.
But
We
I
gotta-
think,
I
again,
know.
as we talk, we know what we have to
Yeah.
deal with. And then it was 187 for leasing the vehicles and then dropping it down to one stretcher. And again, we're maxing out the leased vehicles at 59,000.
Are there any big items in any of the other departments, or is it just the three that we're dealing with?
Well, let's take a
Assessors all
quick look
set,
here.
Clerk's all
I
set,
like that.
right?
think it's good that we're getting this.
I don't think anything for Eddie Callan, right?
So,
Nothing for you.
2020. So,
Cable,
again,
is he-
cable, but they're self-funded, so
set.
they're okay. COA has, oh, but they're pushing all of this out. See, I haven't updated theirs yet.
Mhm.
They are pushing it out, or,
Pushing,
okay,
they're pushing all their vehicles out. Yeah, DPW.
Yeah, other
gotta
than them, what
look
do
at
we-
that Still, DPW.
is there anything for emergency management?
So emergency management, the only thing they have is,
The truck, right?
Need a
their
trailer.
truck.
Yeah,
No, they pushed the trailer out,
okay,
so it was
Right.
just the truck. And then we've got the fire, the
He had no
library.
he had no gifts.
Hmm?
He had, emergency management didn't have any gifts or anything.
No.
We're funding all of it.
Right.
How much was this truck?
So they're willing to get a
They-
good used one or, a hand-me-down.
30,000.
So, yeah, we,
Is that what it was?
I think we used 35
35.
if we ended up
That's new,
buying a
right?
new one. But again, I mean, if they could find a decent used one. Yeah, 35 is what we used.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have the fire department. The library was all from their gift account. School didn't submit anything. And then we have the police. So yeah, the DPW is the only other big one.
Oh, the voting machines. Where were those being paid for?
Oh, yes.
We
they
said
would
we
have to-
wanted to do that.
Yeah,
How much
they would
does
have
that
to be
cost?
paid out of,
That one's like
out of this
14, 17.
17. Yeah, so they would have to come out of this.
It's
at
close.
this point, I don't think that's unreasonable to add that to the list.
I agree.
Yep.
And there's equity.
Yep.
Yep.
The tough part will be, actually is another thing to consider. So we just talked about maxing out the lease ceiling. We haven't talked DPW yet.
Mhm.
If they're willing to get a used vehicle, get it outright. We still have the room in our budget, so I gave you a couple of scenarios, 313, 245, and 187. We're still able to do a lot with the 187.
Mhm.
We came and we bought his vehicle outright,
The emergency management,
yeah,
yep.
for
Right,
what they
which I would
need.
agree, I mean.
Yeah. And then we wind up, so they get that vehicle and we still are, even at the lower scale, we're still only a little bit over 2. Not even going into those other departments, a little over 2. So call it 250 if I add in the voting machines, just trying to talk through those things. So then we have another, no leases, but $200,000 to go into the DPW.
Yep.
That's interesting.
So there was nothing for the council this time around? Everything was deferred or pushed out? Okay,
So the only thing they have is, and it's in the DPW section,
oh,
is the
okay,
kitchen.
oh,
And then I did get an email from Diana that they want, they're gonna spend it out of grant money. But if the kitchen gets approved and everything, they wanna buy, like the equipment kind of stuff, pots, pans,
Sure.
all of that kind of stuff, but they have grant money.
Mhm.
So she doesn't have any individual prices
Mhm.
yet. She would anticipate, though, maybe spending as much as 9,000 out of her grant on that kinds of stuff.
And
Shelves.
ankle biter stuff like that, year-end money
Mhm.
might also help out too. I know, Mr. Cavlis has said that a couple of times, like, hey, we're approaching year-end money. Give me your spend plan for the things that you would love to be able to do, because here's how much money I expect. I don't know, something like that. But if she's got grant money, that's good too.
She just wants her siding.
What?
She wants her siding.
Yeah, well,
Are we
that's already
going up?
funded and,
Are we going up
Oh,
on
no,
our free
I
cash?
mean, that's.
What's
before
our
she-
outlook for the next year. If we did 450 this year, our books are balanced. Did the Moody's meeting already happen, the telecon,
Yeah, I think that was
with
this
our,
week,
our
wasn't it?
bond rating?
Could have been. Oh,
Monday,
no,
I
no.
think.
It hasn't
Yeah,
yet.
no, not yet.
So those are some positive things that are happening in our community.
Mhm.
So let's say there's some sore feelings coming out of what we come up with. I don't think I think we're on a pretty good glide path for some of this stuff, but if there's some sore feelings, love to be able to have a consolation prize to say, hey, next year, we're looking better. So we may not have gotten you this time around, but
Yeah, but you can't really necessarily, because we don't know what a year's gonna bring.
I know.
I was just
You
gonna
know,
say,
I know.
this list changes.
Yeah, you know, the roof
their
collapsed
list
on
changes,
the building
but
or
our budget outlays, I mean, we didn't have free cash for several years.
Correct. Now, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe this year it's a little higher than normal because of the
Property
things that happened
valuations.
last
Yeah.
year. Things that happened last year
Valuations
have now
changed.
flowed back through free cash, but they're not gonna be normal. They were
Yeah.
one-time things that happened in FY 18 that allowed for more
Yeah.
free cash in FY 19. So this 450 is probably not the norm.
Mm.
It'll probably be lower and then a more steadied amount after that.
Mhm.
You know, I go back and I talk to my, I don't know if it's mass general law for how much you have to put into stabilization and OPEB and all these things. Not talking about touching OPEB, I think I'd get struck by a bolt of lightning, but like stabilization. You know, to have the conversation with the advisory committee to say, as these things fluctuate, I don't know, I guess my wheels are turning in terms of discussion with them to say, we did what we were supposed to, stabilization, for the 3 accounts that we put money into based on recommendations. But, you know, it's something that might change to say, we have a lot of capital expenses, and if stuff starts to break and otherwise.
But I think that has to be funded by a certain time, the stabilization.
Well,
So-
the financial policies that we've put together have the free cash policy. So we say, okay, here's our
percentage.
free cash.
This is what the
This
percentage is.
percentage is
Yep.
going
Yep.
into the stabilizations. This percentage is going into OPED. And these specific things based on specific percentages. Then what's left becomes our
Yeah.
capital budget and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that 450, Carter said, is already taking the financial policies into consideration and moving the stuff that belongs to where it is.
Right. I suppose I'm just thinking of like long-range plan to say, if we're gonna come up short this year, how can we squeeze that balloon in future years to, you know, grow capital,
Mhm.
Only time will tell.
right? Because we already know Carter had to come up with some creative ideas for the plan. What's the road plan called?
Payment management study?
Yeah, the pavement management study came back and he was like, we're never gonna
Yeah.
get where we need to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, it becomes a maintenance thing rather than relying on chapter 80.
Mhm.
So to use that kind of thought looking forward to say, what can we do if we're never gonna, we don't want this to become so large that the department heads are like, yeah, I'm reduced down to brooms and shovels rather than trucks and
Right.
equipment.
You know, and that's why, this format, it shows us down here.
Well, the chapter 90 went up a little bit, but,
Is it 90? What did I say? 80?
well, chapter 90 went up to 400,000 approximately, where it was at like 360
Uh-huh.
in that range, in that area.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying, Doug.
See, so,
Uh-huh.
like right now, see, we have this giant balloon. And it's because we went so long without funding anything, we have this giant balloon. And that balloon.
The years of the no free
is-
cash, yeah.
Right, so that balloon has got to get smoothed out over time, which is what this number would do.
If I won Mega Millions.
Yeah. So,
I'm helping.
yeah, exactly.
That's what we're gonna say, you're leaving town.
No. I'm in it for a penny and a pound.
So, we're never gonna be able to fund that bubble in 1 year. So that bubble, though, has started to reduce. I think when we started this plan 5, 6 years ago, or this format, that number was like something like 1.8.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it should get,
Sorry.
well,
Mm-hmm.
you would hope it will get a little better each year.
Well, I think Selectman
Rotating your
Morrison, you
stock
just
kind of
showed us
thing.
that there's been significant improvements made, so.
Well, and again, you gotta also take into consideration things come in and out of the
Mhm.
plan.
Mhm.
Like, DPW has taken 4 or 5 things out of the plan.
Mhm.
Right, everybody has their idea of what they need in their department.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
See, and even looking out though, in 20, 22, 23, we're sitting at that $500,000 number.
Oh my God.
We're not down, in the,
And I mean, you've been keeping up with it. When
400s.
when you were changing these things, especially in the last meeting, you were updating those as well, right?
right, they change
Yeah.
automatically. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, see, so if we made this,
You're gonna be able to hear it on the video, I swear.
right, so if we made
Cody's
that
hungry
50
again.
instead of 7, so that number goes up and all of those average numbers change.
mhm.
And likewise, if you end up doing something with that, so those numbers all went down.
Mhm.
So that was 1,230,000.
When did it go up to a $500,000? Was that 2023? When you had the 500,000? Oh, 2021. Oh no.
Yeah.
You are the Excel master, though.
Yeah, it's good.
No question about that.
I wouldn't say that.
I think what it is, you gotta like it. You have to like playing around with the stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, and some of it's getting all those sums in there and
Mhm.
everything where it calculates.
What else? What are we doing tonight?
So, no, I mean, I think we've had some good discussions and, starting to do the calculations are looking good. That's a big purse for us to work with, a lot bigger than I think we've had, in the near past anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably won't be able to work on it until Sunday the 13th. But I will get the spreadsheet all up to snuff. Once I do that, I will send it back to the police, the fire, and DPW and ask them last chance to verify.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll schedule a meeting for the 15th. We'll keep the meeting on the 17th.
That's what we would finalize right there, 17th?
Yeah. Or if we don't, we'll have to tell Carter we won't be ready for the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see one on the 17th. We're gonna do one on the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cause you're gone on the 14th, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gone both days.
Right, so,
What do we think about the 10th? What did you say?
You won't have that.
I won't have any
Okay.
updates done. I don't think
Okay.
it would be productive.
And I apologize. I think I got the date wrong. I originally sent out the presentation to the select board is on Wednesday. They meet on Wednesday, so
Wednesday, the 23rd, yep.
I don't know if I had that as a meeting, Tuesday we were gonna try and meet, or I just got the date wrong. I'll say
Well,
that
Tuesday
again.
at first before the
Right,
Wednesday
so
meeting we
Tuesday,
were
the
going to.
22nd,
Yeah, but
we have a meeting posted for that day, just in case there was any final, because again, we might walk
that's what it
away
was. I just
from the
called it
meeting
the
of the
wrong thing.
17th and say, okay, we want to change these 3 things in the write-up. You know, so technically you should vote the final version then before you do the presentation.
Yeah.
So that's why we always post one the night before, or we've even posted it as at 5 o'clock the night of, to take a final vote on.
That's an idea right there.
Alright, so
Like-
I sent out a calendar appointment for the 23rd, and I just changed the one for the 22nd, saying that this is it's planned, but it's like with that final, do we have all our ducks in a row? A review of that document
Yep.
that I will start. Mike will start recommendation memo. Spreadsheet updates, question to department heads. We'll schedule a meeting for the 15th. Mike will start the memo.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay.
Very detailed notes.
I will email
And
that
use your
to,
notes for the minutes for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
yep, I'll email that to you right now. Selectman Morrison, got it. Done?
Okay.
Do you have it in your inbox? You got the other one? You're, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. You got anything else? No?
I think we had pushed meeting minutes from the last one, when I'm looking at the meeting on the 20th.
Yep,
It said push minutes to next meeting.
right, which I didn't get them ready,
Okay.
So you just have
so
to
we have to push
approve.
them again. Yep.
2 sets this time
Yeah.
coming up.
Well, even, I mean, to be quite honest, and, in cheating, if I sent you that stuff, you might just copy paste it into that format. My goodness.
Yeah.
Copy paste it in there, and that should suffice. I mean, I'm not speaking in like pig Latin or anything in there, but there is a couple abbreviated things. But that might help in the interest of time, so we don't have to try and reinvent the wheel.
Wanna call the meeting?
It's a motion to
Motion to call the meeting?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and we adjourn at